Hi, I'm Ted from Everything Attachments, and we're today with one of our most popular attachments that we've made for the last 10 years, which is our Wicked Grapple line and the Root Rake style. So everything I grew up with was a long bottom. That was all we made for the first 5 years till we started making this style. We certainly don't want to get out of making the long bottom grapples for people. They are right for certain things. But when you're going to be rooting things and stuff, it really helps keeping the weight closer to your tractor a lot on these smaller compacts. This 60 horsepower compact without a cab and stuff is about as large as I recommend for the 55. And that's a light tractor for 60 horsepower. As you go up in weight, I don't care if you don't have but 45 horsepower. If you've got a cab, filled tires, and going to put a heavy implement on the back, then you might want to move up to our 60-inch. Now, a lot of people, their first concern with a rake style grapple is that it's narrow. They're thinking that tractor ought to at least have a 72-inch grapple on it, and in one way, they're absolutely right. This is a 55, and why? Because on my M141 on our Wicked 66, I can show you a bent loader where the weight was spread out too far, and it simply allows you to push at the wrong spot. So on the front of this loader, you got to remember, this is not a skid steer. It's not an industrial tractor. It's a good heavy duty farm compact hobby farmer tractor. The loaders are strong, but you got to treat them right. Cheap attachments let these quick attaches get torn up. I see them all the time where they're unclocked. And if a good attachment like that rake grapple we're going to put on here, it's made out of hard ox. It basically, this direction will not let it have any flex, and it protects your quick attach. The cheaper the attachment and the more it flexes, the more your quick attach is having a hard time with it. So with a 55-inch on here, which seems narrow, we want you to keep the load between these two posts. We want all the load to go to both. If I put you a grapple out to here, you'll do just what I did. You'll look off from the seat. You're going to look where you can see it, and you're going to give it all it can, or at least that's what I did. And it's all on one arm, and it just bent it really bad, pushed it back. So if you're going to be doing that type of work, that's why people, they want to go wider, but I'm going to show you in this video, the number one thing is, but how will I pick up brush and small stuff? Well, I don't have like the forklift, the pallet fork effect to be able to go under a lot. But the way I'm going to push it up into a pile and fold the lid over it and crimp it, you're going to see just how much more you can actually do with a rake style grapple than a long bottom. And when it comes time to rooting things out of the ground, it keeps it closer to the tractor. It protects the tractor. There's certain things, a long bottom is definitely still what you want. It just depends what you're doing. And when you call and tell us what you're doing and the size tractor you have, we try to help you pick the right grapple, the right style, the right size, and the right weight for your use. That's one good thing about Everything Attachments. We've got, my great-great-grandfather sold mules. So he had his own blacksmith shop. So we've been doing this for a long time. We were the first Alice Chalmers dealer, Ford dealer, and we've gone through them all. And we do know what we're doing, and we want to share our experiences with you to make the right attachments at Everything Attachments. So we're going to mount this 55 grapple on here real quick. And so if this was one of those stand-up grapples, I just bumped into it because it doesn't matter, except with those stand-up grapples, I would have just knocked it over and had to get back out and put it back to get it ready. With the grapple open like this, it's actually way more realistic to put it on without keep knocking it over. Well, and also I gotta sit down. And I usually shake it a few times, make sure it's seated good, and go put my pins down. And half inch ag couplers, they're the easiest to hook up. Now, I do need to decompression my tractor. I've not done that at all. I'm gonna cut the tractor off. I'm gonna cut it back on. I'm gonna use both my ups and downs. That'll let the pressure off the tractor side. Grapple's new, shouldn't have any pressure. And even if it did, these half inch couplers will certainly help. Because all you have to do on an ag, pull that ring back and shove it in. Pull this ring back, shove it in. If I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so both those are done. We're gonna hope this tractor still has hydraulic fluid in it. We hook it to all kinds of stuff all the time. This is dry, so we use a little bit of fluid every time. Now you'll see these hoses are kind of, in my opinion, in the way of things I don't like. These are what came on this from the factory. My brother was a Kubota dealer, and he nicely plumbed this for me in a way which I don't like. I personally like to come down the arm, come to the torque tube, and go in this direction, where these would be, all this slack would be taken up, and they would be plumbed in that way. And I would put a bungee cord or ratchet strap around this, and you can see, it makes a perfect exit for everything. You can keep your cables a lot shorter. You don't have to overdo your hoses. This is just not perfect. I'm gonna try to find something to wrap that here. I'm gonna pick it up, make sure I've got enough, and then I'm gonna put something around that. So where is my longest spot? Right there probably, all the way down. That's fine. Now we need to get a ratchet strap and put right there. It's gonna make everything perfect. Let's see what we can find, Chuck. Hi, I'm Ted from Everything Attachments. We're back from hooking this up. We'd given you just a little bit of a rundown before this and the way I like it to work. As you can see, this was plumbed from the factory Kubota dealer, which was my brother, and they're plumbed out straight like a lot of them are. Some are even worse. At least this starts at the back of the torque tube. Some of them don't start to here, and then the lines are sticking out to here. And all that does is make everything worse between your tight connections and keeping your lines out of the way. So, you know, we definitely, instead of the straight ahead, aim it at your attachment like the sideways way. Now, all we happen to have here on site was a 24-foot ratchet strap that's for high weight. What we really like is a bungee cord, and really what's better than that's, unfortunately, a cheap $5 little ratchet strap from Northern Tool or something. And just tighten it right here. That way, if you do get it in a bind, it'll still let this pull through a little bit if something snags it. But this has made us been able to make it to where we're using a lot less hose that's just free. And we've kept it between the handles, and you could even adjust. You could move these. If you wanted to, you could rotate those to the dead center. There's things you can do to tweak them for your tractor to make them better. But I think the key is starting on the torque tube here and not just leaving straight out connections. So we connected that really easily, and then we'll pick it up and we're going to show you some features on this that are not on anyone else's. This grapple's never had fluid in it, so it's going to act like it. I'm going to work it a couple times. So that's taking a little bit of my fluid out of my reservoir every time I put a new attachment on here. And I have not checked it lately. After a few strokes, that'll be out of it. So we'll roll her back. You see how the cables just do a nice little shape in there? They're not in the way of anything. We've taken out the slack, we've moved them off one side. It just doesn't get much better than that. It's too simple. It works too good to do it that way, to not do it that way. So we're going to show you some features. Excuse me for being 61 years old, a little out of breath. I don't do this every day anymore. So this grapple has come a long way. There's a lot of things we've added to it, a lot of things we've patented on it, and a lot of just material you're not going to see in other grapples that look like this. We've had people that have actually worked for us that have taken our drawings other places, and they get the general shape right on the little ones and some of the stuff, but they just don't know what's inside there. And they do every time they do adjust something, it's funny to look at theirs at how much worse it gets the more they work on them, and how much better ours gets. So these grippers here are actually hard ox. These tubes here are DOM, which is drawn over mandrel tubing. There is no seam in it. The quality of metal is a grade 50 or better in a DOM tubing. Pipe is a seamed pipe. I don't care how thick you make it, it's still soft. DOM tubing is a machinable tubing, and it's much harder than regular cheap tube pipe. We try not to, we don't use pipe on anything. Everything in here is hard ox. The main pieces are hard ox. The laminated tines here that give it the brace here are hard ox. Everybody's tried to copy it. It's just the materials we use, what still makes ours the best. Our tubes are much thicker, as you can tell with that radius. It's not a sharp square. Everything has a purpose on here. This right here gives you great back dragging. You can kind of see the shape of it. It gives it a lot of stability left to right. It just makes this whole lid wicked. I was reading one of the top rated grapples yesterday. It said not designed for pulling backwards or raking. Oh, why do you build it? I don't know. This is for anything you want to do. When it's on the right size tractor, you shouldn't tear up anything if it's sized properly. What all? There's just, everything is tabbed and tanged in. Everything's a perfect measurement. These nice thick tubes help keep it all together. This piece here just makes it a whole different wicked when you're trying to do back dragging, which we allow. Come over here, you can see how thick the DOM tubing is in this with a perfect saw cut from our diamond saw, wet saw. And the DOM is 3 times plus stronger than just pipe. I don't care if you put Schedule 80 or 120 in it, it's still nowhere near as strong as this 1/4 inch DOM. And just like a lot of people don't even grease their back cylinders. So the hinge is greased here. The lid is, the cylinder is greased here with a bolt. We got through the trouble to gun drill this bolt all the way to here. And then we have separate holes here that grease these 2 particular pieces. And we've sunk it where the grease fitting can't get hit. So we've looked at everything in this grapple to make it right. Adding these center hinges, which a lot of other people have tried to copy it, but there's a lot of difference here. It's not just a hole with a bolt. There's actually a big hole in here with another piece of thicker AR that goes in between there. So we just tighten fully down on that. And it's got a nice big axle to rotate on. Everyone else is just putting a cheap bolt through there. It's one way of connecting it. It just doesn't last. It doesn't work near as good. So we're probably gonna go straight to the brush pile. That's the biggest question of all. But without my 72-inch grapple or my 6 feet of grapple, how am I gonna do brush? Well, I'm gonna show you. I can end up with this, and I don't do this every day. This is the first time I've been on here in a long time. And in one try, I bet I get more in a mouthful with this little grapple as you can in a full long bottom. So we'll see. We're gonna eventually carry all this over. We'll spare y'all the time it takes to carry this. Chuck has a little lot over here that we're slowly clearing. We're going to dump all this junk in, and we'll cut all that part out of the carrying it so it just doesn't take your day up. Even this trash and grass, and I'm just going to show you this real quick just because it's there. Stuff like this. Remember, I haven't used this in a long time, but you can you place it right, you barely touch your tines down, and you can kind of scrape it all up, go over it, crimp it down. And still be able to move what you want to. So a couple of these loads, you still can do a little bit of everything with this grapple. That's what I love about it. So now we're going to go to the brush pile. We'll get that later. Have everything in it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it all the way. I'm going to tilt it all the way back, or almost all the way back. Instead of going under it with a long bottom, I'm just going to push it up till it gets to the top of my grapple. And I'm going to go up a little more. I'm going to roll it down over it, and then I'm going to pinch it. Oh, I didn't pinch it. I went the wrong way. So when I come out, I should have a pretty good mouthful. And this is the stuff we took out from around the house with the tree puller. So yes, you could use a long bottom, but people think, how do you get piles of small limbs and stuff up? And this is how you do it. And this is just little bushes. As you get limbs, the piles are just going to get bigger. The further I get in this, with the root balls and all, the piles are going to get bigger. I'm going to go dump this real quick, and I'll be right back. Shut it down for a minute, Chuck. What looked like a huge pile is going to go away pretty quick. So I'm going to get a little more. I'm going to set this back on top of this and get another bite at it. And that's just because I've got to carry it so far. The more I can get, the better it is. I thought I had that closed. Well, that's what you get for not practicing before you come out and make a video. So I'm going to come in from this side, get a few of these bigger things out of the way. And keep in mind, this is our smallest grapple. I am in high range just because I'm traveling up and down the road. Bring it up from the top, bottom, roll it over the top, crimp it, roll it back. I bet I can get a little more in. It'd be nice to have a little counterweight on here, even though this is dried out some, it's still got a little weight to it. Back and get those stragglers. I picked up one on the way back, so you can see you can clamp down on little bitty stuff. There's such a little groove left between the grapple, you can tighten up on just about anything. So I'm going to back drag this just a little bit, pull my pile around. Go back down on it and crimp it shut. Let the grapple do all the work. So this is a few little bigger stuff that we've cut off this tree here. Get all this in one load, that'd be nice. This is trimmed off this catalpa tree. If you don't know what that is, it's a tree that's famous around here. This is Catawba County. A lot of people call them catalpa trees. They have a green caterpillar on them that my father used to absolutely love. He said it was the best fishing bait ever. You pull the head off of them and take a wooden matchstick and turn them inside out, and the fish go crazy over it. Let's see if there's anything left to get. I got this I need to get. So we'll add this to the pile that we're going to next. So this is a bunch of PVC pipe, junk, and small bushes that were around my house that we did with the tree puller. The wicked tree puller we did with a SVL 95 skid steer. In fact, we just sold one today to go on a, what was it, a Ford 26 or 36? I don't know, it's 115 horsepower and weighs 16,000 pounds, so we figure it's going to be a good trial for the tree puller. He lives locally and promised he'd send us some videos back. He's coming to get it first of the week. I need to get out of hot range. Yes, I hope it isn't heavier than I think it is, because I don't have any ballast on the back, which is not what I would recommend to anybody. If I can get all this junk down there in one bite, I'm going to call this a win. I know there's just high grass probably here. My people that mow my grass, and my wife is surely going to like this, my new wife. She's tired of looking at it in the yard. So a lot of our videos are just, we're just testing our product and seeing what we can do to make sure it doesn't tear up. This would be more of a how to use a grapple video, which we haven't really had time or done in a while. And I'm going to scrape this up into a little pile. Roll this down, crimp that in. I didn't get all I wanted, that's for sure. I'm going to try this again. As you can see, the power of the grapple closing has enough power to pick up the front end of this tractor. So that pretty much, I'd make my mower mow over that. You hadn't even had to touch it with a shovel or a rake. It's great. Throw that on this dirt pile. I'm going to get most of this dirt pile. I'm going to rake this up just a little bit. Trying to do as little manual labor as I can. That's where that bent tube right in the middle just works so well. I'm going to hit it from the bottom and come up, and I'll be able to carry most of that, which most people think they need a bucket for that, and a bucket would work, but actually this grapple will work better. It has just enough grass in it not because it's mostly sandy dirt that these plants were planted in. I'm just going to come up. I'm going to rake it backwards, I think, and then crimp it. All right, I'm in high range. I'm going to go to medium. I'm going to rake it backwards. I'll follow it down. I'm going to close it up. And just with pressure, I'm going to be able to carry. This is actually heavier than those limbs. So with nothing on the back, this is really all I want to carry. A couple of these, and I won't even have to put my bucket on. Just a little bit of raking here. I think 2 scoops of this is going to get. This is the most of the trash that we did with a pulverizer, taking the grass off the top of this driveway behind us, so you couldn't even see it was a driveway. And so it's just rock and trash. And this beats loading it with a shovel. So. All right, so as you can see, this hasn't had grass grown up except around it. This was a nice pile. We've taken 3 piles of stuff that took about 45 minutes to pull out with a tree puller and a skid steer. We've been hauling away in less time with a simple steel rake and just 15 minutes on each of these piles. We're going to be able to say we've never had to manually do any work to it. This grapple looks kind of small. It is kind of narrow, but it's very capable. You can see in its rake position how this U-shaped piece of hard ox that we bend in-house just makes everything so great, and how good it rakes, and it doesn't let the stuff come through. We were able to lift the dirt and the rock that we had taken off the top of that driveway that didn't even really exist for the last 10 years because I haven't lived here. This is a house I built when I was 19 years old, so it's older than I've been building attachments. Um, but this little rake only weighing about 260 pounds because we've added a little weight to it with some extra features. We do have a lightweight version of this that is, instead of 1/4 inch, is 3/16 in the center and on some of these bars. It doesn't have the rounded piece here, but it does have a piece of DOM tubing through it, and it doesn't have these third connections on the back. But for the subcompact In the Class 1 tractor, it's more than you need. It's what we started out with for years is our first 55 grapple, which we were putting on up to 50 horsepower tractors, but we've just thinned up a few things, derated it, and got it down to about 225 pounds. Maybe we'll get it a little bit lighter. That's what we're working on. But this 55 Wicked, anything this size tractor, smaller, I've got them on bigger tractors. I try to not recommend them. We've really never had one wrecked since our last design. We've had no failures, and that's the way we'd like to keep it, where the grapple on the front that everything attachments makes is as strong or stronger as your tractor. We don't want to tear your tractor up. That's up to you, but we don't want to tear up our attachment. And by making our attachment so strong, like I said earlier, it protects your quick attach from twisting and so forth. I see so many of them that are unclocked and they're like, well, push it on a tree and straighten it up. And I've done that with cheap attachments. That's what you have to do. But if your attachment's right, it protects your quick attach and your tractor, distributes your load over your whole loader instead of letting it flex over just to one side. At Everything Attachments, we build the stuff like I want it built, and I like to be able to do anything I want to without tearing something up. Give Everything Attachments let's see. Give Everything Attachments a look on Facebook and social media. We'd sure like to have you join our Facebook group and become one of the EA customers. Thank y'all.